everyone, and welcome to Roaring Truth with Love with Kirsty Greenshields and myself, Michelle Fuller. And today we are so happy to be chatting with Tyme, who is a sidereal alchemic astrologer. And I discovered Crystal through her YouTube channel, which is amazing. And we will be linking that below for everyone who's interested. But I had a reading done with you, Crystal, and it was so amazing. And I have personally learned so much from your channel. It put so many pieces together for me. And I think I mentioned to you on our call that I honor what I think of, who I think of as the Sky Watchers, and just the gnosis that you bring to the table is really beautiful. And so, yeah, I guess the first question that I have for you is if you could explain the difference between tropical and sidereal astrology, and then also what is alchemic astrology and how that sort of fits in.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to your channel. I'm so excited to meet all these new people through my channel, like it's connecting with this family of awakened souls. It's just awesome. And I think what you guys are doing is amazing. And I'm sure it's going to grow because people are really looking for this information, right? And this is really amazing that you guys are able to do this and help out all these people that are on their journey. And the sidereal astrology is fascinating because the reason I discovered that there was something wrong with tropical, that it wasn't accurate, was because I started getting the app that you put on your iPad and you can go out and look at the sky. And I have a big sky where I live, and I was always looking up the stars and going, I wonder what it all means, and I'd always been interested in astrology, but I never really felt that it was accurate. It was kind of like fluffy for me, astrology. Like it was like something I wanted to learn, but every time I kind of went into it, it was like, it's not really, resonating with me. So once I got this app, and anybody can get it, you can get it on your iPad, and you can just put the iPad up to the sky and it will give you the pictures of the constellations, and it'll show you where all the planets are and all the names of the stars and stuff. So when I started to do that, I realized that it's not the same as what tropical is saying. Okay, so this is where I started to kind of go into it going, okay, well, what's that about? So then I started to realize that there was a name for it. What the real sky is called sidereal. And by doing that, I started to look into the history of what tropical astrology was. And what I understood from the research is there's this thing called the Procession of the Zodiac. So what happens every 72 years, the sun doesn't reach all the way around. It misses where it was before. So over 72 years, it misses a degree. So this is called the Procession of the Zodiac. So slowly over time, over thousands of years, the constellations are shifting out of whack. Like they're not lining up to where they were. So what they did, it was probably about 1800 years ago, 2000 years ago, they decided to just freeze the sky. They said, that's where it's frozen. That's where it's going to be. We're just going to go with what it was there. And that's what we're going to create all astrology from. And then they took all the constellations, which are all different lengths and shapes. And they said, no, each one is 30 days. And we're going to chop them up and to make them all equal. And that's how we're going to call astrology. And so that we have one constellation in each of the 12 houses, like when the wheel. So when, something is on the ascending, on the horizon and ascending, that's the first house. And they're going to say, that's only one constellation in that house. Okay. So they created it, I guess, as a way of disconnecting us from the sky. That's what I'm assuming, because once you know the sky and how the planets are relating to you and when you're born, you can really understand who you really are. And it empowers you. And then you start to realize like, oh, I'm like that, and I'm different from that person because, I have that planet in my personality house. And it makes sense because it's like accurate. It's exact accurate picture of when you were born. It's not something that's, that doesn't match up. So a lot of people
talking about that actually today with a friend, because a friend of mine had a sidereal astrology report done, and she is, or thought she was, a Libra, same as me.
right. Mm-hmm.
And then found out she was a Virgo. And for me, that was huge. It was so meaningful because, and I might have shared this with you before, Crystal. I know I haven't told you this, Kirsty, yet, but I have done so much work sort of reintegrating those Virgo qualities. And, a lot of times it's like, our true selves we're disconnected from them, within the family, within culture, whatever experiences we have. And that's a beautiful thing, right? Because then we have an opportunity to reaccess those things, and they really mean something then, and then we can really be who we are. So it's a beautiful thing, but it's a challenge at the same time. And so it made so much sense that, like, just in terms of like distorted gnosis, it's like all along, I thought I was a Libra. I never resonated with Libra except for the balance part, because I was always able to see all the slices of things. I was always able to sort of see all the pieces and balance it out. But Virgo qualities, those are qualities that, like, even growing up, they were qualities that were sort of like suppressed and shamed, and qualities that I really had to learn to love about myself so that I can be who I am. So it was fascinating for me.
Yeah, so by doing that, you can start to see how your whole life is mapped out. You get really, when you're born, this is when we talk about alchemic astrology, where everything is placed when you're born is your life lesson. This is what you came here to learn. This is what, if you believe in reincarnation, I know, a lot of people don't, but if you kind of understand astrology, you're interested in astrology, you're open-minded enough usually to say that, oh, there's a chance that we most likely are reincarnated. Okay. So you choose your lesson as a soul of what you need to learn. Okay. Because it's a game, right? Otherwise, we're just all up in the ether going, okay, this is boring. I get what I want. This is the whole thing about experiencing life through the physicality and through emotions. So you're going to place yourself and go, okay, I'm going to go into that mother who's pregnant, and I'm going to live that life because that's where my map is. Because your star map is your life lesson. And it's all to do with Saturn. Okay. So Saturn is your lesson in life. And then Saturn returns every 29 years. And so you become a totally different person when you're 29. You start to go into your second wheel of Saturn, your first Saturn return. And then again, when you're about 58, 59, you become another person. And then, in the second wheel is teaching you how to achieve your first wheel. Okay. And then the third wheel is like, whether you mastered it. It's all mapped out. Okay. And for sure you could, it's not saying that, you only have one destiny and this is it, but there's something that you came here to learn, and the stars are teaching you how to learn it. It's all done in a divine way. And this is what alchemic astrology is. And so once you know your map, if we had all this information when we were young, I would have had probably a way healthier emotional life, because I always, second guessed myself and questioned myself. Well, there's reasons for that. It was part of my life lesson, or, and now I'm like, oh, I'm just like that because I am that, because that's who I am. That's what the stars are saying I am. And so you don't question yourself anymore. You just embrace who you are. So I think it's a very powerful tool. And I think they hid it from us on purpose, because it's empowerment. And once you're empowered, you become healthier. You don't need big pharma. It's a whole process of learning how to embrace yourself and have your true health, mentally and physically. So it's the stars are everything. They're people, and this is what all ancient cultures watched, right? It was their big TV set. That's what they sat there and they mapped it all out, like, okay, well, that takes that long to get there. And it was a big mathematical equation. So their minds were like going by just watching the stars. And we're so sad that people don't even get to see them anymore. There's too much light pollution and stuff. But where I am, I see it all, you know, so I just go out there and I'm just like, wow, you know, it's like, but now I kind of know what it all means. And it's fascinating how fast they move through the sky. Like if you go out when it's first dark and then you go out a few hours later, the constellation, you know, everything's moving. It's like a giant TV set. Yeah. So it's really fun. But once you connect to it, but the easiest way to connect is through technology, is using your iPad, going out, and it's kind of ironic, right? They disconnected us to go to you know, astrology to get away from that, but that's what's bringing us back, and going on Stellarium. The Stellarium app is the most important thing that we've had.
Well, there's the alchemic process too, right?
Sorry?
I said there's the alchemic process as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to say, sister.
Yeah, so it's really, yeah, and it's fascinating. So then once you know your sign, you start to realize there's 3 crosses. There's 3 crosses that each person, you know, could have to bear. Okay, so being a Virgo, you're on the mutable cross, and there's the fixed cross, and then and the fixed cross is usually what they have Jesus in, right? It's you know, you have Taurus, the bull. They usually have an angel, which is Aquarius. And then they have Leo, and then Taurus. Yeah, Taurus the bull, and Sagittarius. No, it's not Sagittarius. Oh, it's gone out of my head now. Scorpio. So they always have you know, the eagle used to be Scorpio. Okay, so they have all this in place, and they always have Jesus in the middle of this. Okay, and this is what we're living. We're living the fixed cross right now. It's male dominance, sun on the sun pillar. Very masculine, and I do believe the society is getting split in 2, and some people will be going mutable cross and some people will be going cardinal cross, and it's really the cross that you carry through this journey, and to understand it, how it relates to your chakras. Okay, so because each cross has 4 positions, and then you have to see, like, through your chakras, which are in your body, which ones you're missing. Okay, so people on the fixed cross or people on the cardinal cross don't have their throat chakra. So wearing the mask is not a good thing in a spiritual sense for these people. They resist it. Okay, mutable cross, you have your throat chakra, you're okay wearing the mask. You see, so it all relates to our bodies, and the way the constellations are, everybody agrees that the feet is Pisces, right? It's the soles of your feet, and it's the 2 fish. Okay, so when we're on the fixed cross, we're lying across the constellations in one direction, so it makes Aquarius be the crown chakra. When we get to the cardinal cross, we're lying across them in the other direction, where Aries is the crown chakra. Okay, so that's fascinating in itself, because you have to be the phoenix flying out of the fixed cross. The phoenix, which is Aquarius, is the phoenix. You fly out of this cross and you go to the cardinal cross, which is the red bird. You see? So the phoenix is the bird on fire, and you go to the cardinal, which is the red bird. And then that makes you have I am Mars as your crown chakra. You see?
So is that what you're saying is happening now collectively, Crystal? We are,
yeah.
So we are Phoenix moving out of that fixed cross into the cardinal cross.
Yes, and the phoenix is really your soul. Okay, that's what the phoenix represents. It's your soul. It's the Bennu bird in Egyptian mythology. Okay, so what's fascinating is all mythos relates to the sky. And you know, you have Taurus, which is the silver gate. It's Isis. And you have the Pleiades, the 7 sisters, and Taurus. This is a very, very, very important constellation, Taurus, because they created the United States as the St. Louis Archway to represent that constellation, which is in the center of the United States, where the 2 eclipses are crossing. The one in 2017 that went from Salem down to kind of South Carolina. And then we have one in 2024 that's going from like Mexico, California, all the way up through to Canada, Montreal. And it's going exactly to where the Olympics are. Okay. The Olympic symbol in 2024 is Jupiter alchemic symbol. That's the logo for the Olympics. Okay. So they've mapped it out and they knew this was going to happen. And they knew, you know, how to place all the monuments for this event.
So when you say they, okay, so
Mhm.
let's go like really big picture here. Who are you saying when you're saying they?
People that have memory from their past lives who went through onto the cardinal cross last time this happened. This happens every 25,920 years. It's called the cosmic great year. Okay, so that's a long time, 25,000. But the last souls that made it through, I do believe, have kept all the esoteric knowledge. Okay,
The elite.
and they become
Yes.
the elite. Sorry.
The elite is what you're saying.
The elite are us. Yeah. All the elite, you know, the queen, the pope, kings and queens, you know, politicians, they all know this stuff. And it's actually divine. I see it as absolutely amazing. They created all the symbology of the cosmos into the structures all across the United States. Okay. So Washington, D.C., the Silver Gate and the Golden Gate are all on the same parallel line. And it's done like that because, you know, the Freemasons have the angle iron, you know, the angle on their logo and the compass, which is all about measuring the stars. These are all tools to measure the stars where they move, but that's what they used to use. And right straight up from the Golden Gate is the Lions Gate Bridge in Vancouver. Canada. Okay, so it's all done perfectly because the three gates in the sky are the Golden Gate, which is in on the point of Sagittarius, on where the golden bubble is on the Milky Way. That's why it's called the Golden Egg or the Golden Gate. There's a big golden bubble there. Okay, then you have the Silver Gate, which is between the horns of Taurus. This is why they always do this. You see the elite doing this, and people that do sports and stuff, they're always doing this. They're talking about the Silver Gate. That's the lines, that's the Silver Archway in St. Louis. And then the Lion's Gate is between Cancer and Leo. Okay, these are the three important gates in the sky. They're important. There's a mathematical equation to why they're important. It has to do with the ascending signs. When the ascending signs are coming up on the horizon, like when a sign comes up on the horizon, that's called the ascending sign. I mapped it all out, and the sun has to be in a constellation, right? Like the sun has to be when each constellation comes up, the sun's going to be in a different location. I did the whole mathematical equation, and the three that are missing are the three gates. Okay, because some of the constellations are super long, so they jump out. Okay, so the sun doesn't go in those three spots. So there's a mathematical equation to those three gates. It's all done through math and the math of how the timing of everything. So it's really fascinating that they knew that this eclipse was going to cross over right at the Silver Gate. It's crossing at St. Louis at the Silver Gate, and this symbol is Venus. This is a Hermetic symbol for Venus because Venus creates the pentagram with Earth. It creates the pentagon, the pentagram, the five-pointed star that's all on the American flag. And they created the X, you know, the eclipses are creating the X, and they created all the monuments to that. So I do believe
this is the piece that many are not aware of, that are awakening, which is that all the world is changed. Everything is a ritual.
Yes. Yes, everything's a ritual around the United States because the Welsh wanted to get away from the English because the Welsh always wanted to have freedom, and most of the founding fathers are Welsh. Okay, so they had all the tin, you know, in Wales, and they created the ships. They were all Navy men, and they went to the United States and they started to create the new world. Okay, and so they knew all the esoteric knowledge, and they wanted to create a community of people that believed in spiritual freedom, not just freedom and liberty. Because if you go back in history, it's called the, what's it called now? It's called the Magna Charta, the Great Charter is what the whole Constitution of the United States is from the Great Charter. That's why, the great, Make America Great, is all relating to this charter. And this charter has to do with freedom and liberty of the soul. Okay, so it's not just about, your rights. It's about spiritual freedom. And this is why the United States is very religious. It was always promoted to be religious, so that people would see the symbolism when it was time for this, event to happen, the end of the cosmic great year, when the door opens. Okay, and so it's all done so you see it. Okay, but you only see it when you expand your mind to want to see it. It's so amazing esoteric knowledge, because you can have it right in front of you, never see it. You never see it. And then all of a sudden you start to see it, and then it's everywhere. It's like, it's in the lyrics, it's in the movies, it's just everywhere. And then you go, oh my God, I'm going crazy. I see it everywhere. And then it's just fun to share it with people, because then other people see it. And then everybody's like, I see it. And it's actually an amazing journey. It's nothing to really fear, but it's just to understand it's done in a divine way, in a special way. So, only certain souls see it. It's your choice to be free. It's your free will. It's your thymus that Plato talked about. Your thymus is your twin towers. It's your twin flame. This is your throat chakra, Gemini, twin towers. Okay. They took down the twin towers as a ritual because there was the moon was between the twin towers when they took it down. Okay. And the moon represents Jesus. It represents not only Jesus, because in paganism, it was the divine mother goddess. It's the same. Okay. Christianity turned it into a male, the sun, but originally it was the moon. Okay. So you have the Chalice Well in Glastonbury in England, where they created all the Zodiac, all through the town, it's all through, you can see it from above, aerial view. The constellations are all mapped in to the whole environment. The Chelsea Well that has red wine, or in paganism, they saw it as the menstrual blood of Mother Earth. Mm-hmm. That is the eye of Aquarius, who is the phoenix in Glastonbury. Okay, so it's all done so you see it. It's just whether you choose to see it or not. Yeah, it's just amazing that it's all through the monuments. It just freaks me right out. I'm just like, when I found out this,
I reckon there's people listening whose minds are being blown right now, because even I'm sitting here listening. And there's questions I want to ask you, but I'm like, no, I just need to keep listening.
Yeah, well, it's just that's really the whole thing about it. And what's fascinating is because, as we start to connect our intellect, and I've been listening to gematria people, and I chat with them because they're like savants, so, they're really smart people, right? And they see numbers, but the numbers is that what's amazing is between these two eclipses that are going across the United States, the one in 2017 and 2024, there's exactly 2424 days. So 2,424 days. And that in Hebrew is the number for Iousis, which is Jesus. Wow. Okay. So you get your head around that? You sit there and contemplate on that. They had this all mapped out. Okay. They knew the mathematical equation of these eclipses that were going to happen in 2020 or this time frame, this 7-year span, way back in the 1700s. Okay. Because what really blew my mind on this, okay, was that there was a Venus, because everything's about Venus. Okay. Venus is love. She's the mother planet. She's the divine feminine planet. Okay. There's an alchemic process between Venus and Mercury, because they're always hopping around the sun. They're really quick moving planets. And when you watch Stellarium, you just put the press your button on the time and watch time fly by you. They're dancing. It's a beautiful dance. Okay, so everything's about Mercury and Venus. So back in the day when astronomers were the scientists and the wise men, back in 1639, they all went down, I think, to I think maybe it was in Africa. And they went down to a cape and they watched it, a Venus transit, this really very rare Venus transit, okay, when it gets around the sun and everything. And it was on July 4th, on 1639, the year. Exactly 1639 months to the day they founded the United States.
Wow.
You see? Wow. That's all mathematically done. And if you see all this and you sit there and you contemplate on it and you go, they knew the math of the planets, okay? And Rittenhouse was a genius. He was not an academic. He was very good friends with Benjamin Franklin and, other founding fathers. And he had created a clock where all the planets, moved in sync to the exact, time. And so they knew they could read the future. Yeah. So they created everything. Mm-hmm.
As I'm listening to you, what comes to me then is it's the intention, isn't it? The more that you know about this information, the intention that you can use it, because things that they're trying to do now are failing. That they're still using. This is my understanding, is they're still using their knowledge and their ritual, but they're failing really quickly. So is that because more people have woken up with an intention, with the polarized intention, with the more pure intention, or what's going on there?
It's not, they're not failing. They're doing it this is a game. This is a soul game. Okay. If you see it not from this reality, but from your soul being in the ether and coming down to experience duality. Okay, this planet is about duality. Okay, it's about good and evil. So there has to be evil for you to see the light. Okay, so they just want to get everybody on the pillars to see if you can pull yourself off the pillars, because you could be like, totally pro freedom and so pro freedom that you can't stand the people that aren't, but you're still on the pillars.
Right.
Okay?
So it's remembering our free will, remembering that we have a choice. And then what do we do?
Have a choice. But the whole, and if you go in some biblical text, to walk the Jesus path, you walk the narrow middle path. You don't fight. You're a watcher. You watch and you learn to control your emotional state. This is all, Plato and everything. It's all about, can you control your emotions when the realities are butting heads, And, I personally, I think Trump is a catalyst to help the awakening. He's so bizarre that it just shook everybody up. But I also listened to him, and he does drop esoteric knowledge to help you put breadcrumbs together. Okay. But so does Hillary Clinton. She dropped stuff about, the basket of deplorables, and that's a constellation. There's a basket that's a ship. She dropped stuff about, breaking the glass ceiling. They're all dropping stuff. It's not nefarious. It's a game. And the game is, do you want to be one of the people that get to keep full memory when this gate opens? And do you want to be one of those players on the next time around? Because we just do it again. It never ends. This is a game of souls. So we just, right now we're at the lowest depth of the constellations. We're Pisces and we're moving up. Okay, we're going into Aquarius. But eventually we will go all the way up into the ether, and then we will drop again and we'll come down to physical state again. It's a never ending wheel. It just goes. But every 25,000 years, in 25,920 years, the door opens and you get out. So it takes you, if you do the math, you take that number that I just told you and you divide it by an average human lifetime, which is 72 years, it's 360 lifetimes. So it's the circle of life. Okay, it's a mathematical equation. You do 360 lifetimes before you get out the door again, or you have a chance to get out the door again. And this is all to do with the mythos of the river of Lethe, which is the green river where you lose your memory, or you go in the Nemesis River where you keep your memory. You get washed by water. This is what baptism is about. Your memory is erased. The water erases you because water holds memory. Okay. And they created all these buildings. Like if you look at the towns like Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, New York, Washington, they're all on the exact same line. They're on a ley line. They're on an electrical ley line. They're on, aqueducts that are through the earth, and then they have crossings. And most of the aqueduct rivers under the earth, the ley lines, is where all the cathedrals are built. Okay, so like the Notre Dame church that went on fire, right? That was to do with where the pagans got burnt at the stake, was right outside that church. Okay, because paganism worshipped earth and worshipped the sky. So they had to disconnect those religions. Okay, so also the Spanish Inquisition, when they went down South America and killed 10,000 people that worshiped the sky. So sky watchers were always killed and burnt at the stake. Okay, so it was because you knew things if you knew the sky. Right. You could see the future. You knew the future. You knew when things would happen. A lot of the old carvings in the caves and stuff are always to do with Taurus. Taurus, it's because the Pleiades there, the seven sisters, right? That's many cultures believe that is the foundation of humanity comes through there. That's why it's the feminine constellation. It's ruled by Venus. Again, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Okay, so it's just mind blowing. You're just like, when you start to realize like what this is all about, you just want to share it with everybody, right? You're just like, I want to tell everybody. And because once you understand all this, you're no longer in the movie. You are now the watcher of the movie, and you can totally disconnect because there has to the prophecies that they programmed into our subconscious, which is the Bible. Okay, it has to play out. It will play out. There has to be a separation of the souls. Okay, and there has to be a mark. And I'm assuming it will be the DNA vaccine, because the DNA is the science of your spirituality. You have to be able to absorb a frequency, the spirit of God, up through your feet. This is why your feet turn to brass, and this is why your feet are called the souls, because your soul gets transformed through your feet. Okay, there's an energy that comes up through the earth. Most likely a CME comes from the sun, because the sun something has to happen to the sun, and the sun will probably shoot a CME. There's an energy that comes up and it will open up your third eye, which is the seal on your forehead, the 144,000 get. Okay. That 144,000, I do believe, is not a number of people. It's a frequency. And what I've discovered is, and you can do the research on it, DNA, all the lats, the rungs, every time they join the walls of the DNA, there's a little tuning fork on them. So your DNA has a frequency. Okay. So I do believe that when you can absorb this energy, if you have love in your heart and you're calm and you're very not stressful, you can take on this energy and transform yourself and become the phoenix rising from the ashes. You will, in a sense, die, but you don't die. Okay. You get reborn. Okay. It's the Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead, the album, I know I'm old. I remember that. It was the wings with, the lightning bolt, and it's the two sides of your brain. You have to be at theta in your brain. Your left and right brain has to be in balance for you to do this. And then once you understand this is a science approach to spirituality, you start to realize, get off the drama. The drama, just release it. Just let it go, because you got more work to do. You got work to do on you, right? So once you realize this, like, oh my God, this is, you just release it all. You just, but it's fun to watch. Like, I love it. I love watching Trump rallies and stuff. And I just find it hilarious because I hear the esoteric knowledge in it all. And I just, it's just fun to pull it out and, oh, look at this. And, it's everywhere. But some people go, oh my God, he's a Freemason. He's evil. And then, oh my God, there's something else going on. And everybody's like afraid of the knowledge that it's all nefarious. But I don't see it as nefarious.
In some ways, I think that's sort of a part of the path. Don't you think? Like just sort of like seeing the dark, you have to sort of see the dark.
Yes. And then you freak out at it. Then you freak out. Then you
freak out.
Yeah, you freak out. What's happening? And then you get angry because you've been duped. Then you go through all the anger, and then you want to make them pay, and you want them to suffer. And this is a little bit, where the QAnon movement is kind of, they're kind of in that we got to make them pay. And I'm like, yeah, but there's more. There's more. It doesn't end there. Keep going, keep unraveling. Keep going. And so when I started to, I knew intuitively that there was more, but I had to find a logical way to be able to explain it to people. And when I started to realize it was about the planets and they were following the planets, and I started to realize there's a mathematical equation to the planets and, sacred geometry to the planets. And it's all about shapes and sounds. Frequencies. So what's interesting about these cathedrals, they used to do all, obviously all their worship there, but they would sing and stuff, right? So there's a frequency that happens, acoustic frequency in these cathedrals. Now, people have gone in and actually recorded those frequencies, chop them. You take a sound wave, you chop it, it creates a cymatic picture of a wave, it creates a picture, which is sacred geometry. And do you know the pictures of the sounds from each different cathedral is what the stained glass windows are?
Oh, wow.
Then you go, wow, it's all about frequency, right? So it's all about whether we can raise the frequency of this planet. Okay. And if they keep us in fear and they keep us in hating and they keep us angry, we're in a lower frequency, and we're basically enslaving ourselves because the planet can't heal us. We're just causing the planet to get sick, because it's not so much of what we're doing, it's what we're feeling. Okay. So you have for me, I feel like you have a pact with Earth to raise your frequency, to help heal everything. It's not about just you got to be one of the light bringers. You got to be, and then people go, oh, the light bringer, oh my God, it's Lucifer. Oh, well, do you know that the light bringer is actually Venus? Venus is, has two names. She has the morning star and the evening star. Okay, the morning star is Jesus, the evening star is Lucifer. It's just Venus. So when people go, oh my God, it's Lucifer. You're talking about Venus? It's all over the American flag. It's the pentagram. You're fearing your own freedom. Okay. Right. So what's scary about organized religion is that, the Bible's one thing. Organized religion is teaching you to fear your own ascension process. Okay. If you just read the Bible, if you read the book of Revelations and you understand esoteric knowledge, you will see it all. Okay. The 7 lamps, they're your chakras, your all-seeing eye, the eye, it's your third eye. It's all through the Bible. And, they were Freemasons, Bacon was, helped write it and stuff. And so it's part of, sifting through and finding the nuggets, right? But I get concerned because so many Christians really believe in the rapture. Now, the rapture is not a good thing. You don't want to float. You want to stay grounded to Mother Earth. You want to stay inside, stay home, save lives. That's a saying that they're saying. There's a reason. Stay indoors, because my understanding from the mythology, you know, you follow the sound of the sirens. They take you to your death. Okay, and there's obviously going to be a sound, a frequency that's going to happen in the sky. I'm assuming this because the imagery is in a lot of movies, and you know they're showing it. It's also part of the mythos that the sky opens. Okay, the bottomless pit opens. So what is that? Is it a wormhole? I don't know. Is it a black hole? You know, they're all around us. That's what the scientists keep telling us. I don't know. All I'm saying is, what my understanding is, don't go outside. There'll probably be like Trump was saying the other day, you know, Gone with the Wind movie. I don't know if you caught that one. He was talking about the Parasite movie or the Gone with the Wind movie. And I was like, yeah, you don't want to be gone with the wind, because you know what? On top of the Carina ship in the sky, there's a wind pump. There's also a little honey pot. This all relates to parts of our body. The Carina is in your bladder. It's also in your trachea. It divides the left and the right with the wall. It's also what they named the ventilators, is Carina.
Yeah. Whoa.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
it's like so this like, and it gets even crazier. Okay, there's a constellation right beside Carina. Now Carina, okay, first I'll tell you what Carina really means. If you go into the etymology of Carina, this was a ship that used to look like a basket in Chinese astrology. It was always pulled by a wolf. But if you go in the etymology of Carina, the car, what you call it when you go into your car, okay, it's a chariot, but in French, it's C-H-A-R. It means to float.
Huh.
Okay? Don't want to float. That's a ship. That's a ship, okay, that picks up people, okay? So it's also, there's another, this is going to blow you right off the water. I just discovered this. I haven't done a video on it yet. So you're going to get the little preview here.
The preview.
There's another little constellation that I was always curious about. It's called the Musca. It's a fly, you know, the fly movie and stuff. And there's a fly, and it's right on the side of the ship. It's right below the ship. And I started listening to Terence McKenna. I don't know if you know who he is. He was a psychedelic, you know, into psychedelics, very, very knowledgeable man about plants and stuff. And I was listening to him, and he was talking about that somebody had written a book about the mythos of Jesus was really worshiping a mushroom, that people are really worshiping a mushroom. And it was a professor in that back in 1970s, and he lost his job over it. So I was like, that's weird. And then I started looking into the mushrooms, and there's this mushroom called the musca, and it's called the Amanita. So Amanita muscaria. It's the two names of these two constellations. It's Musca and Carraria. It's like, I was like, oh my God, the mushroom's named after these two constellations. So I started digging on that and started to understand that what these mushrooms look like. They're red top mushrooms in Alice in Wonderland with the white dots on them. Okay, so they're the Alice in Wonderland, which, you know, I don't know if you watched some of my old videos from a year ago. I always believe that when you get to the Golden Gate, if you go to the right, it's the whole Alice in Wonderland story. Okay, it's like there's a keyhole in the ship called the Little Man Keyhole. You see the false cross, the Southern Cross. That's called the false cross. You go into the ship, you know, and then you come out and you go down the rabbit hole, because in the sky there's a rabbit. Then there's an Eridanus River, which is actually a rabbit hole, and at the bottom is the clock. Okay. So when I started looking at the sky, I was like, oh my God, Alice in Wonderland's story is in the sky. Okay. And at the bottom of the clock, the little phoenix is there, and it flies away. So you lose your soul. If you go down the rabbit hole and follow, you know, you lose your soul. Okay. So anyhow, so I started when I started looking at these mushrooms, I'm like, oh my God, it ties into Alice in Wonderland. this mushroom has a syndrome that's called the Alice in Wonderland syndrome if you take too much of this mushroom. Now, this is when it gets crazy. There's also another mushroom with the same name, but it's a white mushroom and it has a cap on it and it looks like a phallus. Okay. And I was like, oh my God, that's all the phallics worship that, you know, the mythos of Osiris. I don't know if you know the mythos of the Egyptian mythology about he loses, like he gets killed, he gets chopped up into pieces, but the Isis, she can't find her husband's penis, and then she creates one and then she gets pregnant. Okay, so everybody believes that the obelisk is a phallus, right? So that's what most people believe that started to study all this stuff. So, you know, I was always like, okay, the obelisk is a phallus. Okay, what's that about? And then in Chinese, they have a festival every year where they all walk around with phalluses, like penises, and they have popsicles. And I'm like, what is going on? You know? So then I see this mushroom and it looks like one, right? And I'm like, oh my God, the guy was right. He wrote his book about, you know, this is about the mushroom. So what's crazy, I know, this gets crazier. It's like we're living in some weird Alice in Wonderland, crazy place. Okay, it's hilarious. So anyhow, so then I started going, oh my God, this mushroom is the tree of life, because this man that wrote this book, his main picture on his book was this fresco from France, where Eve is there and the serpent is going around this tree. And he said, it's a mushroom. It looks just like a mushroom. Okay. It's impossible for it to not be a mushroom, but all the historians and all the anthropologists say it's a pine tree. Okay. You have to see the picture of this. It's definitely a mushroom. Okay. So so then I started studying about the relationship between mushrooms and trees. And I started to talk to my friend who spent time with the Druids. And he says to me, do you know that we only ate the mushroom that was at the bottom of a silver birch tree? And I'm like, no, really? He goes, yeah, you don't want to eat the other ones. The only, you know, use these ones at the bottom. So then I'm talking to my other friend, and he's like, yeah, in Sweden, every Christmas, all our Christmas decorations are little mushrooms with the red tap and the white dots on them at Christmas, right? So I'm like, oh my God, this is basically the whole tree of life is a relationship between the nectar of the gods and the mushroom. So what I figured out is our root ball is our brain, and all our vagus nerves, we're the root. Okay, we're the root of the tree. The top part of the tree are the people that get harvested. They're the hanging fruit. You know, like in the tarot card, they have the hangman and he's hanging from his foot. There's in Chinese mythology, there's a tree called the Wawa tree, and there's all people hanging from it. Okay, and the people are the fruit. So I know this is crazy. People are going to think I'm absolutely lost my mind now, but the Druids believed that we were a crop. The harvest at the end of the Bible, we are a crop. And I'm going to tell you what we are, okay? We're the fruit. You either eat the fruit or you become the fruit, okay? This is the game that we're on, okay? When you eat the fruit, you transform spiritually, and you will go to higher consciousness. If you are the fruit, you're part of the process, but you will lose your memory and you will just come back as a soul that's asleep again. Okay. And now this is where it gets crazy. Okay. You got to remember, Aquarius pours out, if it hasn't got crazy enough. Yeah. The Aquarius pours out water, right? And it's out of a urn. Okay. A URN. It's out of an urn. Now, if you understand the history of phosphorus, which a mushroom needs to help the tree grow, there's a relationship between fungi and the tree. Okay. The fungus creates the atmosphere for the tree to grow, to create the phosphorus, so that helps the mushroom grow. Okay, there's a relationship there. Okay, now phosphorus is fertilizer, right? The farmers, they put fertilizer on the fields. We're getting very low on it and on the earth. It's getting to really, bad situation. So eventually the plant forms won't be able to live. But phosphorus was discovered from human urine.
Yes.
Okay. So human urine are the golden showers. Okay. And yeah, it's the purple rain. It's the purple rain because it's a fluorescent that turns into purple. And that's what pours out of Aquarius and heals the world at the end of the hell lockdown. Okay, so anybody that's going into the AI vaccine, you're going into 5G because you can't handle these energies that are coming into the planet. You will be locked down, kept comfortably numb. You will go to the dark side of the moon because the Hindus believe humans are harvested on the moon. Okay, and that's where you basically get harvested. You come back, you have no memory, you fall back to earth. You're a fallen angel. You come back to earth, and then the rest of us go into Shambhala. We're already transformed. But then at one point, the purple rain comes and frees everybody, and then we get to play the game all over again. So this is it's just insanity. I know it sounds totally like you're going, okay, this woman has lost her mind, but I'm telling you, it's all in the sky. You can't deny it. You can fight it. You can fight what I'm saying, but if you really wanted to go do the research, it's all there. It's there, and
for me, like when I've always been somebody, when I hear something, I feel the resonance. I feel resonance or I don't feel resonance. And like everything you're saying, as I'm speaking now, I'm getting truth bumps, as Michelle would say. There's so much resonance and it makes so much sense to me. When I hear this kind of stuff, it brings pieces in that just go, oh, right, now I get it. That makes so much more sense to me now.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. So we all agreed to it. We all agreed to this. This is not like you're being tortured in this duality world. We all agreed to it. It's just fun. It's just you just have to see it as like just a big magic carpet, or magic mushroom ride. This is what it is. It's like, it's just insane. But psychedelics.
I can see how for people that are just waking up now, it might not feel like fun because they haven't done the work for years. Where we've been shedding and shedding whatever we identified with. Material things, ego, whatever, right? We could make a list 100 miles long. So that's why this is so amazing because, so many people will watch this and hopefully also go to your channel and just start to maybe consider, and worst case scenario, if you perceive it as a game, you might feel a little better. Worst case scenario.
Exactly. It's just a big game. And what's amazing is, listening to Terence McKenna, I started to understand that all the ancient tribes, like they use psychedelic plants and it's all to create a spiritual awakening. And then when I started to do the research on the urine part of it, the shamanic healers would eat mushrooms. It's so, such a big experience that only they could handle it. And they would pee out their urine and give it to their tribe. Okay. So there's a chemical process between the mushroom and urine, which is phosphorus, that somehow heals people. Okay, because phosphorus heals DNA. Okay, so to transform into to be reborn, you have to have something happen to your DNA. It's gonna open up your brain somehow. It's gonna like woo, and we're only using 10% of our brain. So I'm assuming that something is going to like totally awaken so that we can become telepathic. And then what is telepathy? Is really me seeing your point of view, right? Being in your shoes and hearing it from your side. It's not reading your mind. It's by being empathetic to your experience and seeing it through your experience.
Right.
This is what will change humanity. But not everybody's ready for it. So if you're not ready for it, you won't resonate with this information, and you'll just be like, I'm not ready. That's too crazy. I like the material world. I'm going to come back and do my other 360 lifetimes. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But some of us resonate with this because it's our time. It's our time to go through. We're ready to go through, right? So this is the way I see it. I don't see it as, at one point, when I first started awakening, I was like, everybody needs to see it from my point of view. And then I started to realize, no, this is special. It's not about freeing the planet. It's the planet is doing this to us. Okay. We're part of the planet. We're part of the process. Okay. So we need to be harvested. I don't even see that as nefarious. Maybe at some point it is nefarious. Maybe at some point we don't need to go through the process and we're all just at a higher consciousness and we don't need to go through this again. Maybe that's what's going to happen. But I don't see it as really bad. So anyhow, it's just fascinating because the ancient tribes give us the information. You have to go back in history. Keep going back. You'll find all the answers. It's all there. Yeah. You know, in all the slogans that they're using on the public platform right now, they all have a history to them. All of it. MAGA is the Magna. The great is the Great Magna Charter. It's like it's all done through the symbolism because we all remember it. We've all lived it. It triggers you. So it's just fascinating. I find it fascinating. I'm just like, I just want to share it with everybody. But my channel I developed my channel, I don't know, maybe a year ago or so. And it's a slow process because I didn't have this information. I shared as I was awakening. And I had this intuition about the urine a year ago. Yeah. I just had this intuition. I don't know why it came to me, but now I start to see it in all the music videos. It's starting to show up. And I'm like, they're always bathing in this kind of milky substance. Like Rihanna does that. She bathes in it. It turns purple when she's lying in it. And she comes out, the beautiful person. This is one of her songs. And so they're showing us it now and the floating. The Mary Poppins with the umbrella. Feed the birds. The birds are the ascending souls. It's all through all the Walt Disney shows, every single one. Ariel loses her voice because you lose your voice when you go to the sirens. You lose your voice, you can't scream. Has to do with poppies. Cassiopeia is the queen of heaven. The opium stops your voice and creates euphoric. There's a whole, the psychedelics are relating to the constellations, but it's relating to something that happens to us through this process. It's a total full circle. It's crazy. The whole, like you see this in Wizard of Oz. She falls asleep in the poppy field. It's all snow. Okay. The snow is because this happens at winter. Okay. It happens on the winter solstice because this is the week of Saturnalia. This was the most famous festival in all time. It was a week-long festival where you pretended if you were a king, you were a servant, and the servant pretended they were a king. Okay, they got to switch roles, who's Saturn? Saturn is the god of time. It's the god of the golden age. Okay, so you get to reverse your roles. Okay, so they've had this festival, and then the pagans in these cultures loved this festival so much, and they would get drunk and they would overeat and all this stuff. And then what they ended up doing was they couldn't stop the people from celebrating this festival. So they put Jesus Christ's birthday on that festival. Because the Bible doesn't say when Christ was born, right? So they just stuck it in there so people could keep celebrating, but now you're celebrating Jesus. Now, the Kepler, who was the original astrologer, he wrote a manuscript, and all astrology goes to Kepler. That's why they named the exoplanet Kepler. Okay. Right. Now he was studying Saturn-Jupiter conjunctions. This is what he was doing. Okay. And I looked into all that, and I realized he had originally had figured out something related to the Bible, to Saturn Jupiter conjunctions. I was like, yeah, I bet you it's the birth of Jesus Christ, right? So I went back in time on Solarium. I mapped them all out. There's 113 of them. We're on the 113th one, okay? Since I think the birth of Jesus, okay? I mapped them all out, and it would have been in 6 BC that when that Saturn Jupiter conjunction. Interesting enough, a lot of them land on 9/11. A lot of them land on July 4th. Okay, like a lot of them, there's a relationship. Okay, now none land on the winter solstice. None. Okay, since 2000 years. But this year there is one. On the week of Saturnalia, in the house of Saturn in Capricorn. And it's happening on this Christmas, and the moon will be on the eye of the beast at midnight, exactly at midnight, in the house of I Am, which is one pillar of the cardinal cross.
Oh, and
you're telling me
at the solstice, the 21st of December, the Australian Aborigines in the centre of Australia, connected to Uluru, are doing a ceremony at that exact time.
Yeah, but the moon, I thought it was going to happen on the winter solstice.
Yeah.
Because Mercury is in conjunction with the sun in Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus is the 13th constellation that nobody talks about. It's the upper house of Scorpio. It's the man holding the snake. It used to be a woman holding the snake. It's the doorway. They say it's a moth. Well, it's partly a moth because you have to have your wings. You have to be the Mothman. You have to, fly into the flame and transform yourself. That's what the moth and the flame. It has a sapphire star. It's called after a sapphire right on the top of the doorway. I'm pretty sure Ophiuchus is the doorway that the Freemasons worship because you have to control the snake. What is the snake? The snake is the energy that comes through you. It either heals you or it kills you. That's why there's 2 on the caduceus. Yeah. It also symbolizes the 2 being your DNA. But the thing is, Mercury is in conjunction with the sun on the 14th of December. 7 days later, the sun is in the Golden Gate on the winter solstice with Mercury. But then Christmas Eve, I had to follow the moon because it's always about the moon, okay? The moon is in its proper location on the cardinal cross. The moon is on the moon pillar. It's a Cancer is on that cross. It's on its pillar. The fixed cross has the sun on its pillar. So the cardinal cross has Mars and the moon. Okay, that's why they keep talking about Mars all the time. We're going to the moon. We're going to Mars. Trump went to, he went to do a rally or I don't know, I think it was a rally in Mars and Moon Township. Okay, so they always go there. Okay, because it's the cardinal cross. That's where we're going. Okay, so that's interesting. So Mercury is the transforming god, right? He's the one that I do believe Trump represents. Mercury has to do with 88 being Trump in gematria, and Mercury has an orbit of 88. And also he's Thoth. He's a trickster. Likes to write. They like to tweet. He's the bird. That's why it's called Twitter. Because it's it's Thoth, it's the Quetzalcoatl, it's the bird. Always goes back to the ancient mythos. Okay, it's always Quetzalcoatl and Enki and all these are all Mercury. They're Mercury. They transform you. Yeah, it's crazy. Right. So anyhow, so then on Christmas Eve, that's why I was like, oh, I thought it was the winter solstice, but then I was like, no, I have to follow the moon. So then I was like, oh my God, the moon is on the eye of the beast of Citus, the whale, which is the bottom of Aries. On midnight. So I was like, oh, it's going to happen on midnight for sure on Christmas Eve. So I'm pretty sure that's when some energy is going to come into the planet. I don't know what else is, maybe it will be the wind tunnel. I don't know.
Right. What's the significance of 2024?
2024 is super important because I do think that is when the purple rain comes. Okay, so I think what I think is like the timeline, okay, because I've kind of studied the Bible and kind of figure out the timeline about all this. I think first what happens on Christmas is the 144,000 get their seal, which is your all-seeing eye opens. So you're now living in a more psychokinetic reality. Okay, so your DNA is at that frequency. You're able to handle it. Now, most people that can't handle it will get sick. They won't feel well. You know, they're either, I'm not sure if they get harvested and then they don't feel well when they come back. I don't know. I know this all sounds surreal, but this is the mythos. Okay, so somehow, you know, they're not feeling well, so they're going to say it's corona. It's corona. And this is what's interesting about corona. So corona is the crown of the sun, right? Right. But it's also COVID. What's COVID-19? COVID-19, Certificate of Vaccination ID, 19 is AI in Gematria. Eh? 1 is A, I is 9. So you're either going COVID or you're going Corona. Okay. So if you get sick, you're going to go, I need my vaccine, you know, maybe the power is going to go out. It could be, that's what CMAs do. Burst from the sun. It happened in Quebec in 1989, that all the power went out from the sun. Okay. So it's possible. Internet goes down. Everybody needs food. They go and go to these smart centers, Walmarts. That's why they're called smart centers, because it's smart cities. Okay, for all the smart people. and they're going to go and get their food and get their vaccine, because the vaccine is most likely going to be the Band-Aid. It's called luciferin needle arrays, that like a tattoo that goes into your skin, and then you have your mark. Yeah. And then you get your food, and then you're going to start to feel better, and you'll probably have 5G connecting to this, right? So it's going to keep you comfortably numb. It'll keep you comfortably numb, and you won't die. Okay. Now the rest of us are, we can't go to stores, but we don't need to, because we're manifesting and we're at a different consciousness, and that's what I see. And then probably in 2024, most likely in the spring, because that's when the purple rain comes, will most likely on the spring equinox, which is also Baron Trump's birthday. Okay. Being Baron, being Aldebaran from Taurus. Okay. All the names are all related to it. It's like Biden, it's bipolar den, you're in a den. It's like all their names, Kamala. It's Mela is the ambrosia, the Mela is the nectar of the gods. It's different names. It's wine. It's ambrosia. It's Pamela. It's Kumba. That's why the Kumba song, Kumba, that's all nectar of the gods. Okay. So, but anyhow, so then I see the purple rain comes, and then they're free, but then they get to come join us, but I don't think they have memory, somehow, but so I do think they end up coming to join us, but they have to live through their memory wipe, and their reality of being in hell, or hell is AI, really. It's man against machine. It's in our subconscious. They've been programming us man against machine for I don't know, forever.
Yes. And that's what it really comes down to, doesn't it? We're living in this 3D world, and it's man against, and we get to choose.
Yes.
We get to choose. Am I a human? Am I a machine?
Yeah. Yes. But I think in reality, all of it is a bit AI. I think like our thoughts create. And so what is that? If our thoughts create, there's a form of AI. And they know all your thoughts. I was researching, Amita Muscaria on my supposedly go.go, where they can't trace me. Next day I go on my Facebook, and there's hats with the mushroom, that you can go buy. And I was like, oh, well, they know where I'm at. So they know our consciousness. They know where we're at. They're monitoring it. Mm-hmm. It's a game. Mm-hmm. It's a game. It's like you want to, it's just how you want to play the game, and where you want to be next time around. I just want to be, I want the 1,000 years of bliss in Shambhala. And I do think Shambhala, all the ancient mythos, they believe it's the Middle Earth. Now, is there something in the center of this earth? Maybe not, but maybe there's like a dimension where there's a Middle Earth, you know, like maybe we go into another frequency, another dimension, and then there is a Middle Earth there, and everything is lit by phosphorus. Okay, because the phosphorus is the lights. It's always the purple, you know, the Avatar movies, you know, like it's like this. So you're connected, you know, so to Mother Earth. It's really a, but that's pretty much it. It's a wild ride.
I actually have some phosphorus in my refrigerator right now for my daughter that her homeopath doctor prescribed her. So
really, so it helps heal. Yeah, it helps heal the body.
Yeah, because she, you know, vaccine injury. She had a tick. She clears her throat, and so yeah, that's why she was prescribed it, and it definitely has helped.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
We actually take tissue salts, which are the cellular salts as well, with the phosphorus in them. So for the same.
Yeah, and somebody mentioned to me yesterday, one of my clients, they're like, you know, the cell salts, because I bought some, you know, I don't remember which constellation has each one. And then she goes, hey, do you know that the the Aries constellation, the cell salt is Kali phosphorus? And I was like, Kali, oh my God, it's Kali. It's the breath of fire, right? You know, it's the breath of fire. It's the destroyer, the rebirth. And it's the I am. She's in the I am. So I was just like, oh my God. Because, you know, I do the breath of fire as part of my yoga. You know, it helps to get you into, you know, the more you connect with your body and the more you do all these practices, you get more information. It just leads you, you know, because you're not in fear anymore. You're just like waiting, you know, like, okay, download me, give me something to think about. And then all of a sudden stuff kind of comes like that for me. I wake up in the morning and I remember a dream or something, and then, you know, go research that. I need to go research that word. And then you start researching that word, and then it leads you somewhere. It's fascinating how it works. But I think I think other people are getting the same info at the same time, you know, because a lot of times, like, I'll go into my Discord chat rooms and somebody will mention something to me that I just started to think about. So like there's a connection already happening. You know? Yeah, it's wild.
And I have that all the time. Yeah, and I love that particular Kundalini yoga video that you sent me.
That was great, eh?
I'm sending that to you, but I'm gonna link that too, because I love that. It's fantastic. Yeah,
I think it's amazing. But I was listening to what's his name? He's a guru. He's a white. He has a white turban on. He has a big white beard. He's a what's his name?
Oh, starts with an S.
Yes, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about Kundalini, and he was saying it can be dangerous. You know, he was talking about it as you know, you be careful because it expands your mind, and it can be, you know, and I think they make people a little nervous about it, but. You know, for me, I didn't find it. I just found it gives me tons of energy. You know?
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
It's like I didn't feel sick from it.
It's like that with so much, right? Like, oh, beware, be careful, you know.
Install fear. Mm-hmm. They put the fear factor in, and it's like I don't like that. It's just like, you know, let people experience it, and for me, every time I do it, I almost feel like I'm superhuman after. It's like I really get like a ton of energy, and I just feel so much peace and really connected to nature, and I don't know. It's just for me, and I get mad when I can't do it every day, you know, because it's a commitment, you know, to go do it. But I try to do it every day, but very, very busy.
Gorgeous meditation at the end too.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, here it's like it's not like you can even go to a yoga studio anyway here, because you have to wear a mask, which is hilarious to me. Like wearing a mask while doing yoga so it's awesome if we can, you know, again, there's the polarity and everything, right? Like if we can use technology to find meaningful resources.
That's what's amazing. It's like all the information is there now. There's no reason for you to be ignorant. Absolutely. You know, there's no reason. You just need to be willing to see more than there is, that they tell you that there is, that life's about. Because once you start, what I found, like once I started learning about all this information, I just had such an energy charge, and I just, I'm not tired. I'm not like, I can function on 6 hours sleep. I'm ready to go. It's like, cause it's so exciting. It's like you finally realize that there's more to life than just working and paying your bills and having a nice house or a nice car, like it's so much more fascinating. And I think if more people were taught it, everybody would be happier, but it's like they don't want people to really be happy. They just want you to keep on the wheel, stay in debt, get big pharma rich when you get sick from all the stress. That's what I see. It's like I hijack. I'm not going near any of that stuff. Just they don't like me. I kind of run my own business. Do what I want to do. I'm like, I'm sure.
I think you said it really early on, Crystal, and you said that people are afraid of their freedom, and that's actually the crux of it. Is people are afraid of their freedom, and that's why all these structures are set up. But again, we still get to choose. Those of us who do live a different life, we chose that, and we decided to remove from those structures because they realized they weren't serving us, and we woke up to the reality that it's actually, no, I don't want to live like that. But people will only question, and they'll only open if they start to realize that they don't have to be afraid of their freedom.
And also I think it's with sickness, I've dealt with a lot of people sick. I've lost my husband to cancer. I've lost all my family to sickness, and I think that's probably why I'm so proactive to stay in a good frame of mind, because I saw sickness really relates to your emotional state. It eventually manifests through your physical body, and you can be like, think you're happy, but maybe you're just not dealing with your stuff. You're suppressing it, and then that causes sickness. And then from that point of view, you realize that you're responsible for your health. Okay, you're not, sickness doesn't happen to you. You actually manifest that sickness. And that, just saying that to people gets people, they freak. If you say that to somebody, they don't want to see it that way. They want to see that sickness happens to them, they're being victimized from it, and that a doctor needs to fix it. Okay, and just that alone is probably the divide of reality for people, because if you start to say, well, it's dis-ease, which is causing sickness. Sorry, my computer needs to be plugged in. If you start to say that to people, they think you're crazy. And I'm like, I'm not going to get sick because I'm happy, and when you're happy and you look after your body, you don't pollute it, you do proper energy work to help your body stay in balance, you work with certain things, pH, and you don't eat a lot of garbage, you won't be sick. It's like, but people don't want to do that. They want to just eat whatever, drink whatever, well, I'll just do all this, and I got sick, look what happened to me. And it's like, sickness is probably it's the key. It's if you don't have your health, you have nothing, and you watch people that you love disintegrate, you go, oh my God, I want to be that old lady that's playing cards that night and then goes to bed and dies in her sleep. I don't want to go through the hospital, like just the whole scene of the hospitals, and oh my God, it's not for health. It's for putting a Band-Aid on a situation, and it has nothing to do with healing. Nothing to do with healing, hospitals. I'm sorry, I've been in them enough and watched people be treated in them. And I think originally it was supposed to be to help people, and yes, you do need pharmaceuticals for certain things, but once you're in that system, it's very hard to get out of it. Like once you're reliant on that system, so you just don't want to go there. For me, I'm just like, don't want to go there. Empowerment believing your thoughts are connected to your health is the number one thing. And you know, I've been in sports, and they teach you that in sports. You visualize what you want, you believe that you're going to achieve it, and you don't ever question it. And if you have a negative thought, you erase it and you replace it with a positive thought. Well, if that works in sports, why is that not taught through every other aspect of life? Is like pretty sad, because, you know, so I try to, it's very difficult, but I've been doing this probably since I was like in my mid 20s, that I will not allow a negative thought to come into my head. Just don't let it. As soon as it comes, you have the responsibility to squish it. And it's once you master that, you can pretty much manifest everything you need in life. It will come to you. But the key is trying to convince other people to live that way, because it gets to the point where, you know, you're okay and everybody else is dying around you. This is what happened to me. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, I can't help other people unless they believe this way of thinking. But it's a personal choice for somebody to believe that. And I had to come to the terms with, they're not ready to believe it. And they have to live that experience because that was their choice. And that's hard. I think that's hard for people that are awake, is to accept that other people have a different path.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's an opportunity for us to practice compassion, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
To take that bird's eye view, to take that, that perspective.
Yeah. That's a tough one, I think, for awakened souls, because you want people so desperately to see it from your point of view, because you know it's healthier and you know it's this, but you have to have that respect that they're just not ready. And once I let go of that, I was happier, because you can get angry. You can be very angry that they don't listen to you.
It is, that is the biggest challenge, isn't it? That is, and you said it earlier, Michelle, you know, that it's that being on that pillar and then seeing and then going, no, and then going, oh, actually, no, I need to come back to center.
Yeah, exactly.
Challenge that we face.
Disconnect from you.
Crystal, you are amazing, sister. You are amazing. Your brain is like so beautiful. I just want to like crawl in there and like just check all the nooks and crannies. Thank you so much for sharing what you have shared. I mean,
it's crazy.
You're so beautiful and so knowledgeable, and it's just such a gift to have you here with us.
Oh, it's I love sharing this stuff, because it's really fun to see it from a game point of view, you know, to see it from that aspect. And once you see it from that aspect, you just release all your fears, you know. And so this is really important. My phone's going off, but oh well. But yeah, I love being here, and it was great talking to you guys. And it's so nice to start to meet people that are on the same level of spiritual awareness. You know, it's like, oh, it's such a blessing, because you can be so alone on this journey, right? It's a hermetic. That's why it's called the hermit journey, the hermetic journey. It's very lonely.
And I think,
and for many years it was lonely, and now people are starting to find
each other.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's ironic because we're finding each other through the AI. Yeah. And then it's just like, it's like, that's nuts, you know? It's like, you can use it. You can use it.
Totally.
Yeah, there's a good and bad to everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Crystal.
Okay, you're welcome. Take care. Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.